I'm doing Depth vs. Heard, pop culture, entertainment, things like that, of course, following Marilyn Manson when I can. This here is from a 60-page document. It's part 2 of a series I'm doing. In part 1, I did Evan Rachel Wood, the beginning of the cases, and some core facts. And now I want to get into a few other things, including the Phoenix Act and some accusers. Now, with recent news, some of these accusers who are here now have had their cases dropped. We'll talk about that. And also, I'm going to link down below the person who wrote this. He's on Twitter, Instagram, so check that out. Let's get started. The Phoenix Act and Phoenix Rising. It is believed that sometime between 2016 and 2019, Evan Rachel Wood told Ilma Gore that she had been R-worded by a significant other, but not Manson. Around this time, Evan was trying to pass a law called the Phoenix Act. This law would extend the statute of limitations on domestic violence from 3 years to 10. To support the Phoenix Act, Evan testified to the California Senate and U.S. Congress in February 2018 and April 2019. She said she'd been R-worded by a significant other and by an attacker in a bar, but she did not name either of them. She had said the same to Rolling Stone magazine in 2016. By the way, I'm saying R-word and R-worded. I'm sure you guys know what it means. I don't want to say the word over and over. It's right there, though. Also, YouTube rules and regulations and things like that, you never know. Anyway, it was around the time of Evan Rachel Wood's testimonies that she and Ilma Gore began to discuss how they could falsely accuse Manson. Evan Rachel Wood then officially became CEO, CFO, and corporate secretary of the Phoenix Act, and Ilma Gore was employed from 2019 on. Ilma had financial motivation for joining the attempt to pass this law. In a notebook left with her family, she wrote that one of the goals for the Phoenix Act was to make money, yet the Phoenix Act claimed to be nonprofit. And here's a clip out of that, allegedly. Then they get into this coordinated attack. Esme Bianco had also testified for the Phoenix Act in 2019. And as we know, her case was recently dismissed. When I say recently, I mean like a day or two ago. It probably wouldn't have been difficult for Evan and Ilma to convince her to accuse Manson too. Esme was close friends with Ashley Waters, who was in the courtroom when Evan and Esme testified before the California Senate. This connection to Ashley Waters allowed Ilma Gore to get information about all the people that Manson had met with in 2010 and 2011. Walters joined the accusers and Ilma began contacting women who had spent time with Manson. Ilma used the Phoenix Act, Phoenix Rising, and Evan Rachel Wood's celebrity status to recruit as many women as she could and pressure them into falsely accusing Manson of abuse. And then they mentioned somebody on Colonel Kurt's channel. Her name's Greta Aurora, and apparently, she is not testifying against Marilyn Manson. Let's check out one of the emails that was sent to her. Hi, Greta. I'm close with Evan Rachel Wood. I want to reach out and speak to you on the phone on behalf of the Phoenix Act and very important information. If anything, just listen. Best Ilma. The emails were sent from this address right here, and both of them mentioned the Phoenix Act and Evan Rachel Wood. This implied that any of the women who accepted the invitation and agreed to accuse Manson could be close to Evan Rachel Wood, who is a famous actor. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Accuse Manson, get closer to Evan Rachel Wood. She's on an HBO show. She's a musician. What do you got to lose? The accuser meetings were filmed for Phoenix Rising. Being in the film may have been a motivating factor to accusers if they thought they could get positive publicity from it. Okay, same thing. Greta ignored the emails. On the 6th of February, 5 days after Evan Rachel Wood and others had publicly named Manson, Greta posted a YouTube video in which she showed these emails and spoke about the positive experience she had with Manson. She has written a declaration about this and is willing to testify under oath. In her lawsuit, Ashley Waters misrepresented Greta Aurora's experience with Manson and tried to portray her as an underage victim when she was in fact a consenting adult. Ilma Gore also suggested to potential accusers that she was already gathering evidence for a claimed criminal investigation against Marilyn Manson and that this evidence would get Marilyn Manson arrested. Ilma and others working on Phoenix Acts repeatedly spoke of this claimed ongoing criminal investigation in an attempt to intimidate potential accusers. Ilma and others tried to convince accusers that if they didn't participate, then they would be in danger and so would their families. That doesn't sound right. That sounds like something some flappy fish market might do. And also, there's some pretty detailed information about the accusers here, some background about their jobs, things like that. It's pointed out that Ashley Waters knew personal information about Marilyn Manson. Esme Bianco's here. She was on Game of Thrones. That's about all we know her for, and we don't actually know her as someone on Game of Thrones. We know that she was in Game of Thrones because she said so and reminded everybody of the very, very, very small part she had. And by the way, that part was a woman doing things for money. I mean, if you're going to say things Marilyn Manson did on stage and in books are real and they happened, well, maybe you should think about that. I'm not saying I think so. I'm saying the logic against Marilyn Manson some people use should lead them to believe that people who play fake things in movies and songs and things like that might do them in real life. So, and Ashley Morgan Smith line is mentioned, and you know what? Her case dismissed as well. Not enough evidence. That's the bottom line. I'm not sure that's exactly why it was dismissed, but we know the reason is because zero evidence. And Colby Black. I don't know much about her. Colby Black is a singer. She had her first date with Marilyn Manson in February 2011, but was not seen with him again after that. He was only seen alone with friends in March, and by May 2011, Esme Bianco had moved in with Manson. All right, so she dated him about 13, 14 years ago at this point or something like that. So, anyway, let me know what you think down below. This thing's 60 pages. Once again, I'll be linking the author in my description. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. I'll be doing this in pieces. This is part 2, 3 coming up, 4 coming up. And let's see what happens with Manson in the future. If you don't subscribe here, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.